And good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner here on the Highlander Activity Network. In our corner here at the Hack, I am your host, Paul McDonald. Jaden Johnson, our technical director and cameraman on this Wednesday evening. Of course, doom and gloom is coming, but I'm not going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about more better things. But kicking off, of course, we're wrapping up the fall sports season. We've got football and swimming and diving championships going on this weekend. But joining us and kicking things off here on tonight's show, Deb Bilkey, cross-country coach from Valley City. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Is recovering now? Mentally and physically from what you had to take care of on Sunday?
Oh, yeah. Yep,
Which we'll
definitely.
talk about here at the end. But, of course, it's been a while since cross-country season has wrapped up, and with the state running in Jamestown, and you guys had your awards banquet and had your awards handed out. But just state did not go quite as hoped, but still, you look at Bryn Lake finishing as your top finisher as a seventh grader, if memory serves. That's pretty nice to have the seventh graders as your top finisher.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We had a little health issues with our top two runners, but they gutted it out. They finished, which was important to them. The rest of the athletes ran really strong, and yeah, it's going to be fun to see what Bryn has in store for her over the next couple of years.
Have some of those older girls kind of helped coach her along a little bit as far as what to expect, or is Bryn just her own individual?
They're a pretty good team. They help each other out. It's really nice in cross country. What happens is they deep down inside they want to beat each other, but they're very supportive of each other, and they know exactly what everybody's going through, because it's a mental sport along with being physical, is that they know exactly what everybody's going through. And so in the cross country world, it's very supportive, not only from your own teammates, but from around the state, the athletes from the other schools. It's kind of impressive.
On the boys' side, Corbin was your top finisher on the boys' side. I think went Corbin, Tucker, and Trevor, I think, were the top three finishers. On the boys' side, we haven't talked a lot about the boys, and that's partially my fault. But the boys, they had a good year as well.
Yes, they did. Every meet, they got a little bit better. We were short numbers. We started the season with 7, and we picked up 3 seniors along the way. They started a little bit late, and it would have been fun to see what they would have had they been out for several years, because they just constantly improved. They learned the sport. They appreciated the sport.
And when you look at some of your seniors that you've had them 6-7 years, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
That was loud.
I have 4 girls that I have coached
Right.
for 6 years,
Right.
and 2 of those girls I also have in track. So yeah, they kind of become like my children, or
yep.
some of them call me my grandma. So it doesn't really matter.
But your awards that you handed out to the boys and girls to your team here, award winners for cross country this year.
Our MVPs for the year were Greta and Reagan, because to me, I don't feel that one would be strong without the other. They constantly pushed each other. They made each other better. And then on the boys' side was Corbin. Mm-hmm. And then our most dedicated, or I don't really call it our most dedicated, it's outstanding dedication. For the boys, it is our 8th grader, Jack Sorby. You could see him outside running a lot during the summer. He never missed a practice or a meet all year. And then on the girls' side, we had a number of them. Hopefully I don't forget any of them, but Reagan and Greta, Carly, Amelia, those 4 never missed a practice all year. And I know I'm missing somebody.
You can use your cheat sheet if you have to.
It's already been 2 weeks already, so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, and Cadence Fetch. Sorry about that. But yeah, she was another one that hadn't missed all
Right.
year. And then on our most improved was Bryn Leak and Tyson Clable. Mm-hmm. And then our Spirit Award, Sydney Ingstead. I think this is the 3rd year in a row she's won that one. She's just a little ball of fire. She's had some issues with concussions and stuff from other sports, and so she's pretty impressive that she is not one of our top runners, but she's one that the kids really look to in getting encouragement and stuff. And then in the boys' side, it was Elijah Drummond. But and then we had 9 athletes that never missed a practice. I always think that's the most important thing. They never missed a practice or a meet all year, and that's kudos to them. It was like 60 different events.
Yeah.
And then a big one was a big shout out to Carly Govan. She has not missed one practice or a meet in 6 years. That is right around 360 days that she has had to put up with me. So,
That's almost exactly 1 year.
yeah, so it's pretty impressive. And, you know, Reagan's on that beat too. She hasn't missed her, or Greta. So, yeah, there's certain kids that are they're just always there. They're outstanding. They're dedicated to the sport. They want to get better and so forth.
It's a mindset, isn't it? As far, I mean, every sport there is a certain mindset, but running in particular.
Oh, absolutely, because I think I've said this before on this show, is that as a runner, you can't take a timeout. You can't get a water break. It doesn't matter what the heat index is or anything like that. If they clear you to run, you start the race in anywhere from about 18 to 27 minutes. You have to be out there and you have to keep going and pushing yourself so you get across the finish line, because I think it's a bigger pain if you drop out of a race than if you don't finish. So, or if you're in pain when you finish. So a lot of athletes will not finish or will not drop out because that's very disappointing for them.
And there's no coach with them. Now, you may be along the course in the golf cart or so forth, and you may be yelling some encouragement to them, but you're not coaching them throughout these the miles that they're running.
No, that's why we spend a lot of time in practice working on the mindset and different things like that, because a lot of times during a meet, especially those varsity athletes that run the 5K, I might only see them maybe 2 or 3 times during their entire race. And so it's up to them to work hard and tell themselves that they're good enough and that they can do that.
Well, now we've been talking about the cross country season, and of course you yourself had another chance at the New York City Marathon. Was it this past Sunday?
Yeah, it was a couple days ago. Yeah.
And have you recovered yet?
Oh yeah. I'm not going to go out and run for a few days, but yeah.
Let's just take us through what a day is like getting ready for that.
The New York Marathon is very special because it's a marathon that you have to qualify for. And so not everybody can get into it. You don't have to qualify if you raise a lot of money for New York events and so forth. But with that, my day started at 6 a.m. and I had to get to the race, to the starting line by 11 o'clock, which sounds kind of funny. But I spent time taking the subway, taking the Stanton Ferry Island, and then standing in line for an hour and 15 minutes in the heat, waiting for a bus. And then that takes you to the athletes village, and then you stand in line again, and this and that. So by the time I got to the starting line, I had already been up for about 5 hours and had walked 3.5 miles before I even started it. And it was unusually hot. It was 75 plus degrees and 80% humidity. And so, then you go out and run in streets packed, because there's 50,000 that finish.
Right.
And there's millions and millions of people that are spectating throughout the whole race. And when you finish, then you have about another 3/4 of a mile to get out. And then it was about a 2-mile walk back to the motel. So, yeah, after 26.2 miles, I also walked like 7 miles that day. So I was probably gone for 12 hours from the motel. So it's a unique event. Not all marathons are like that, but this is the largest marathon, and it's pretty special.
And you've done it before.
I did it last year. I finally qualified a couple of years ago for it because it was impossible to get in through the lottery, but I had qualified for it, and then I ran it last year, but there were COVID restrictions, so there was only 25,000 runners.
Okay.
And so when I ran last year, I qualified for it again. And so I told my husband I'd love to see it in full force, because was one of my dreams, is to run it with it full force. So I went back again this year with it 50,000, and it was crazy.
And you finished.
Absolutely, that was my only goal because in a run like that, with so many people around and the heat and the humidity, there was only one goal for me is to cross the finish line.
Were you respectable? Did you like your time?
I wouldn't be happy with it in other circumstances because last year I ran it 35 minutes faster, but
Okay.
I was fine with it with the way I was feeling. Yes.
Right. But it's an experience that not everybody gets to share and talk about,
Right.
and that's why that's 50,000 runners. No, no, thank you.
And I think there was only when I looked it up, I think 7 from North Dakota that ran in.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are people from all over the world, and it's one of the sports. I tell the kids in school all the time. It's one of the sports that an amateur can be running the same race with a professional. I said in NBA you can't play professional basketball with them, but at one point I was on the course the same time as the woman that won the race. Because she had started 2.5 hours before me, but so I said, as an amateur, you can compete against a professional. Not that you're going to win or anything, but
Give it a go.
But yeah, I said it's kind of a unique sport that you can do that.
And it's not staggered times. You all start at the same time, correct?
No.
They're staggered.
Yeah, there was. They start the wheelchair, the professional women, the professional men,
Okay.
and then they start with. There's 5 different phases. They'll start with the first group, and they'll have about 10,000 in there.
Sure.
And then 35 minutes later, then the next group is coming. And what's kind of cool with this one too is when it's your turn to start the marathon, it is like the beginning of the marathon. They do the national anthem, they do all the hype that they did for like the professionals and everything like that. And so then they get you going, and then they start bringing the other groups in. So there's 5 different times. So I believe the professional women started like at 8:40, and I didn't start until 10:55.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, they spread you out. That would be terrible otherwise.
Talk about traffic jams.
Yeah, and then on top of it, you're on 3 different highways.
Okay.
So they split the 10,000 into 3 different highways, and then about mile 5 you start meeting together.
Merging in together.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you finished. You got a medal. You got a little medal. Is that what?
Oh yeah,
I've
I
seen
got
the
my
picture.
medal.
Do you? Final question. If you look towards 2023, do you think about that now, or do you think about it down the road? No pun intended.
I don't. I'm not sure. I'm getting up in age that it takes so much longer to recover, but
Right.
I've kind of fallen in love with the half marathons, and so I don't know. I'm not done, but
Right.
I don't know what's in store for me. But
We're about tomorrow first.
yeah, with coaching 2 sports, it makes it a little bit more challenging to find the time to train because in cross country, I very seldom run with my kids because that's not my job, is to train while they're running. So it's always the time after they're done running or on the weekends or something like that. So it takes a lot of time, but it is so worth it.
Well, Deb, congratulations on the New York City Marathon. Is it New York City or New York Marathon?
New York City.
It is NYC, New York City Marathon, and another successful cross-country season. And look forward to talking more as we get when we get into track. We'll probably be chatting a little bit with you and Trevor, and that's not that far away, track season.
No, it's beginning of March, so.
It'll be here before you know it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Deb, thanks again for stopping by.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. Coach Deb Bielke joining us on the Valley City Highlander Cross Country team. We'll be back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network, live on YouTube. And again, if you want to find us and watch these programs and these events live, just go to YouTube and you can search Highlander Activities, Highlander Activity Network, and you can watch them live on YouTube. And we've got Vanessa Coca, assistant coach from volleyball, on her way, and we'll be talking and wrapping up the volleyball season. But a couple of guests that I had lined up couldn't make it, and it's because of the pending storm, as Zoe Bierke and Chloe Nelson, Valley City Highliners, who swim for the Jamestown Blue Jays, are on their way to the state tournament. The state swimming and diving championships aren't till Friday, but with the pending weather coming here on Thursday, they left today. So Zoe, who's one of the top divers in the state, she will be in the 1 meter dive, and she'll be diving, I think, 12:15 on Fridays when the diving begins. And Chloe Nelson will be in the 100 butterfly, and that will go and start with the preliminaries 3:15 on Fridays. So we want to wish both Zoe and Chloe good luck, as they are going to be first time in the state swimming and diving championships for both those young ladies. Zoe, a senior, and Chloe, a junior. And also Tori Nelson, the 8th grader from Valley City, swims for the Blue Jays but did not qualify for the state. So we were going to have Zoe and Chloe on here tonight, but they said they were leaving today for West Fargo, and that'll be at the Hurlburt Aquatic Center in West Fargo. And again, diving starts at 12:15 on Friday, and then the swimming will start at 3:15 on Friday with preliminaries. And, of course, things will continue on Saturday. The Dakota Bowl, of course, coming up on Friday. And Central Cass, of course, Deb Bilke, her son Jason, the former Highliner, coaches for the Squirrels. And they will take on Velva Sawyer. And that'll be the first game, 9:10 Friday morning at the Fargo Dome. As the Dakota Bowl, of course, going on in Fargo this week. And hope all the teams are able to get there safely. And that'll be, beginning with Central Cass and Velva Sawyer. And that'll be, again, kickoff at 9:10. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up the volleyball season, talking with Vanessa Coca, assistant coach for the Highliners. We'll do that when we return to Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on this Wednesday night here at the Highlander Activities Center. And we are now talking volleyball, going to wrap up the volleyball season. Assistant Coach Vanessa Coca joining us. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us today, having me today.
I appreciate you coming in. And the reason why it's you is Colton J. Scott Erickson was born on Sunday.
Yes, and what a wonderful surprise and a great thing. So very happy for the Ericksons.
So Rebecca Erickson, their coach, and Reed, her husband, had their baby, and at least she waited till the end of the year.
Right, almost.
Almost the end of the year. But speaking of the end of your Saturday, the play-in game, and first just getting into that ninth spot, Vanessa, you had to win, and then you got some help, but you moved up 2 spots to that number 9 spot. You knew you had Horace was who you're going to play. You had them here before. I think they swept us that homecoming week. But did you feel if you got them again, you had a shot?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're obviously a good team. They're young, but we felt like, being lined up against Horace, we felt like, that was a great shot and, felt like it was a good opportunity for us.
And a 5-setter, a tough one, but you're down 2-1. You come back in that 4th set. I think they had a lead, and you guys just went on one of those runs that you have. I think it was an 11-0 run or something like that. And I think it might have come after a timeout, but is there something said or what clicks where you guys can get that kind of a run?
I really think it boiled down to leadership and not wanting to be done and just playing with heart and playing with drive and being determined and really just, not wanting to give up. And so it says a lot about the girls and the character of the team and just really, just really giving their all in those last moments.
I think the Wahpeton match, one thing I noticed with the Wahpeton match is when we went on runs, the one that was here, Sam was at the service line or Faith, a couple of your seniors. Is that something, too, when you get those seniors back at the service line, things just click a little bit or what?
Yeah, I think that can certainly play a part. When you have seniors in those kinds of positions, you really look for their leadership, and I think that plays a piece in it as well.
Of course, coming into this year, and this is something that Rebecca and I had talked about, a couple of unknowns, and the setter was one of those positions. And you had 2 freshmen, Katie and Kinley. Just their progression this year and how they matured as a setter. That's like your quarterback on a football team, your point guard on a basketball team. Just putting a freshman in that spot and how they matured as the year went along.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of growing to do, and they did that well throughout the year where, they made some fundamental mistakes and early mistakes as freshmen do, but I think they continue to grow and they continue to learn. I also think they continue to build some confidence, which helped them a lot as well.
And the seniors and the upperclassmen, I'm sure, being very nurturing, and probably the word I would use when they know, hey, these are freshmen, so we got to help them, and I'm sure they got that, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely. Our upperclassmen did a great job with that. I think they were pretty understanding, and they really, put those girls under their wing as well and gave them a little bit, and didn't hold them too tight as far as expectations go. Yet we want them to progress and to not make mistakes, but, they let things go when they needed to as well.
Of course, at the end of a season, that means your seniors, you say goodbye to your seniors, Jada, Sam, Faith, and Abby.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a while, and just what the foundation they set for these younger kids, because you've been with them too throughout their careers. How big of that, what kind of a foundation those 4 set for this group to carry on?
Yeah, really their foundation was really led upon, like the team aspect, and a lot of selflessness. And so they really did a good job putting the team first. They did a good job encouraging. They did a good job, just being positive role models as far as always continuing to work hard, continuing to be determined, continuing to, put the team first and look out for one another.
As a junior varsity coach, and what you saw with the JV, feel pretty good with what's coming up with those younger girls, and then you look at your C squad and your 9th graders. What's coming up that'll be part of that varsity and junior varsity next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had a lot of success at the JV level as far as skill goes, and that's just definitely things to look forward to. We had some inexperience at the varsity level this year, but that only continues to build for next year as well.
And like Hadley Thorson and Bailey LaRue came up and played some varsity towards the end of the year. how big was them to see the speed of the varsity when they were still JV, but just to see the speed of the game when they get to that varsity level?
Yeah, that is definitely huge. Just to be able to play in that, I think just sets the tone really for them to know, what they need to work on, and to set that pace really gives them an idea of what that level is going to be like. I think it also helps having Valley City State in town and watching that tempo as well. And being able to go to those games and support them, I think helps, fundamentally with all aspects and tempo and speed of the game as well.
Final question, just the positives that you guys took away. Let's not worry about the record, but the positives you took away from this season.
I think there were quite a few positives that we could say, just as far as the team dynamic. I think building and looking, to the future and what we have coming up. I also think that it was a great, just learning experience for the girls. Just talking about not just sports but life skills as well and those kinds of things.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by and pinch hitting for Rebecca, because you had to on Saturday, because I think she was already out of the mix on Saturday. But we appreciate it, Vanessa, and I think we're going to have one of our seniors, Sam Hatcher, is going to join us here. So again, thanks again, and congratulations on it. Yes, it wasn't the kind of year you hoped, but still a fun year.
Thank you very much.
You bet. That is Vanessa Coca, assistant coach of the Highlander volleyball team. We'll be back with one of those seniors coming up as Coach's Corner continues from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner from the Highlander Activities Center. And again, you can find us on YouTube. Just search Highlander Activities and Highlander Activity Network, and we're live on YouTube as we are here this evening. On one of those four seniors we were just talking about, Sam Hatcher joining us, number 6 in the program. And Sam, I guess just looking back, first off, well, as a senior, the season, it wasn't great, wins and losses, but you had some moments. You take a set from West Fargo Cheyenne, who probably is en route to a state championship, possibly. A 5-set loss to West Fargo Horse. Just your thoughts on this 2022 volleyball season for you.
Well, for me, it started off rough, not exactly how we expected, but throughout the season we grew, and we grew like mentally and physically, and I'm so excited to see what the girls have for next year.
And you look at some of the younger players, with only 4 seniors, you had a lot of underclassmen, a couple of freshmen that were setters. And did you and Abby and Jada and Faith just kind of feel we're the mother hens? we got to be the mother hens for these young ladies?
A little bit, but they fit in well, and they acted like us. They acted our age, so that made it a lot easier.
And being that they've been in the gym with you when they were junior varsity, or it's not like they have never seen you before.
No, we've known them. I've known Katie and Kinley since they were so young, and all the rest of them. So I had a pretty good friendship from the start with them.
Well, on Saturday, the play-in match, a five-setter, a tough one, but you're down 2-1. You guys came back at a solid fourth set, and was it one of those mindsets for you, and not only yourself, but as a senior, but as just we didn't want it to end here, and we're going to leave it on the floor.
We left it on the floor. We played absolutely amazing on those last sets, and just didn't happen.
Yeah,
but
it was a tough one.
it was tough.
Because it's tough to lose, but when it's a five-setter and it's 15-13, sorry to bring up all these bad memories.
No, it's okay.
But it is what it is. One other question I just thought of, you defensively, up front, Addie Quilvang and what she has really brought to this team at the net, her and Faith and Ava Hughesby as well. But it seemed like Addie, night in, night out, had 3, 4, 5 blocks.
Oh, yeah. Addie's the leading blocker for us, and she really gets excited for those blocks, which pumps the rest of the team up. And then, yeah, she's been amazing in the front row this year.
One thing I had noticed, I noticed really at the Wahpeton match, but then throughout the year watching some of the other matches, but when it seemed like when you and Faith would be at the service line, a couple of seniors, you'd go on some runs. Is it just having that leadership at that back line that you felt that the team's like, ooh, we got a senior back there, and it's a little different mindset, or not? That's what I saw. Just a lot of times when they had runs, you two were at the service line.
I think it's mostly because, we have more experience at the service line, so we're a little more calm and put together, and we're able to get the serves over and just keep on going with that.
Senior, final game is a Highlander on Saturday. Is it sunk in yet, or it's going to take a while?
It's sunk in. Lots of tears have been shed. Lots of tears.
And and you're what, 4 years varsity or 3?
3 years.
3 years varsity. So I think you did see one state tournament in 2019.
That was fun.
That you got a chance to go into Fargo or Shields Arena, where the state tournament was, but. You've seen up and down a lot for Highlander volleyball in your time, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. A lot.
Well, again, Sam, I do appreciate you stopping by. You had a chance to talk with one of the seniors. Congratulations on a great career. It's been fun watching you play over the last 3 years, and we'll move on. What's got Sam Matcher, what she's doing after Valley City High School?
Well, I'm probably going to go to VCSU.
Okay.
And major in business, and hopefully do something with photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
No sports, though. That's okay.
You had your fill.
Yeah, I've had my fill.
Time
Still
to think about
basketball.
life.
Yep.
All right. Well, Sam, again, appreciate you stopping by, and congratulations on this season and a great career.
Thank you.
You bet. That is Sam Hatcher, one of the seniors for the Highlander Volleyball. We'll be back and wrap it up for this edition of Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network. And back here on Coach's Corner from the Highlander Activity Center as we get ready to wrap up another edition of the show. And again, upcoming events is always what we end with. Here's what's on the horizon on the Highlander Activity Network. Monday, we've got junior high basketball, girls basketball, junior high, 4:30 here at the Hack. And that'll be against Kindred, that they're taking on the Kindred Vikings, and that'll begin at 4:30. And, of course, Coach's Corner next up Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. And next Thursday, the fall play, The Great Gatsby, the F. Scott Fitzgerald Classic. And that'll be performed on the stage at the high school and junior high theater. 7:30, we'll have the performance on Thursday, and we will have that. And then next Wednesday, we'll let you know. I believe we might be having a matinee on Sunday, but next Thursday for sure. The 17th of November, 7:30 on our YouTube channel for the Highlander Activity Network and Highlander Activities. We'll have the fall play, The Great Gatsby, and that will be coming up next week. So those are what sports are on the horizon. Of course, wrestling gets started here in less than 3 weeks. As a matter of fact, 3 weeks from yesterday is the first wrestling match for Valley City on November 29th. So the winter sports season is slowly but surely upon us. Practice is already getting started, and we'll be talking winter sports here in the not-too-distant future. And again, want to thank our guests here for tonight's show, Deb Bilkey, Vanessa Coca, and Sam Hatcher for joining us on this Wednesday night. Again, a shout-out and good luck to Zoe Bierke and Chloe Nelson, two Highlanders that swim for the Jamestown Blue Jays. They have swimming and diving championships coming up here on Friday and Saturday. And that's going to be it here for this edition of Coach's Corner. Again, I want to thank Jaden Johnson, our technical director and cameraman for tonight's show. And as usual, for you out there watching us each and every week at 6 o'clock here from the Hack, we have our Coach's Corner. And, of course, our sponsors, Essentia Health and also the Valley City Booster Club. Until next week, 6 o'clock for another edition of Coach's Corner, I'm Paul McDonald. Have a great night.